Hello, this is Millennial Markets. This is Jacob. This is Jared. Today we'll be discussing pre- and post-tax investment accounts, some of which may be options for you. And so here we go. Without further ado, come and take a look at these.
So there are different types of tax savings accounts broken into those two forms of tax eligibility. Those of course are going to be your tax deferred and your after tax accounts. So I'm going to be talking about the pre-tax investment accounts and the different occupations that are correlated with those. So of course, or I guess not of course, but if you may know, there's the traditional 401k, your 403b, and your 457 plans, as well as your traditional IRA. And these will be your tax deferred retirement savings accounts, which means they will accumulate tax-free until the contributor decides that they want to withdraw from those accounts. In the event you do decide to withdraw funds from one of those traditional accounts before the age of 59 and a half, I guess, do you know why they chose 59 and a half?
I actually don't, but I was thinking that exact same question earlier. I think that's such a very specific year to put on there. And then they have 70 and a half for forced.
And that's what I was
I mean, I imagine it, because the average retirement age is, say, 65, right? So maybe they just chose 5.5 years above and below as the requirement. So you have to, you can't withdraw before 59 and a half because that's 5.5 years under 65. And then you have to at 70 and a half because that's 5.5 years above the average retirement age.
Yeah, so I tried to find some more information for that, and unfortunately I couldn't. I really don't know why they would choose these, at least even the half. I mean, how would you accurately gauge that? But anyway, with the half, so if you...
It's the government, bro.
If you do decide to withdraw funds from one of these traditional accounts before the age of 59 and a half, you'll be paying the taxes of your income in that bracket, as well as an additional 10% for your early withdrawal penalty. So one of them is going to be that 401k. That's going to be your larger for-profit businesses. They frequently offer that to their employees, and being those eligible employees, you get to choose the amount of that tax-deferred contribution. Depending if you're lucky or not, your employer will match your contribution, or at least a percentage of your contribution, to at least show that they appreciate you as an employee. I guess for your company, do you get offered the 401k?
Yeah, so at our job, we do get offered a 401k. So they match the first 3%, and then it is a 0.5% for every percent preceding that, up to 5%. So in essence, I have to save pre-tax 7% of my income to receive 5% matching benefits. And there's also vesting schedules. Personally, I didn't see a vesting schedule, or one that I know of currently. And so sometimes with like vesting schedules, you'd have to look at your particular employee and what plans they offer. But they may only match a certain percent for a certain year. So if you've only worked for 1 year, but they have like a max contribution match of say 5%, the first year they might only match 1%, second year might be 2%, 3%, etc. It's different between all companies and plans, but you do have to keep that in mind. So you're not going to see your account just explode for any given reason or whatnot because of those differences that might come about. The vesting schedules, yeah.
Of course. And then
does your job offer one, Jared? Right? I mean, I'm assuming you work at a bank.
Yeah. They do.
Do you know what kind of plans they have?
Not off the top of my head, just because I was fairly new when I guess still fairly new at my job. I guess.
Do you at least contribute to it though?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, you do. Mm-hmm. You just don't know like how much they match, whether or not there's a vesting schedule, what the vesting schedule is, and whatnot. Okay.
Correct. And of course, with the 401k, those investment options offered are going to vary by employer as well, so be sure to consult with your employer. So another one I had done a little bit of research on was the 403b retirement account. Very similar to the 401k plan, there's just a slight difference. This one is going to be more offered for your teachers at schools, any administration out of school, your churches, as well as hospitals, and just as the 401k, mainly funded by the employee itself, and the employers will have a preset contribution limit that they have, and just like the 401k, not taxed until withdrawal. Another one I had just done a little bit of investigating on was a 457 plan. So this is identical to the 403b account, except these accounts are for your state and local government employees. And then one difference that stands out in these savings accounts are they are still subject to the taxes, but one of the benefits is that they don't have to pay the 10% penalty fee. And if your employer does offer both a 401k and a 403b, my apologies, a 401k or a 403b and a 457, you are able to contribute to both of those as well.
Yeah, and so the 457 plan is really similar to a TSP, so a thrift savings plans, which you guys might already know about, or where you work might offer that. It typically comes with it does come with 5 different investment options that you can have. This includes the G fund, which is the government securities fund. This is going to be your treasury bills and whatnot. The F fund, which is fixed income securities, which is going to be different types of bonds, but not necessarily through the government. So it could be corporate bonds, maybe AAA or whatnot. The C fund is going to be your S&P 500 type fund. S fund is going to be small stock index, so say Russell 2000. And then the I fund is going to be the international fund, similar to a fund like VT. And then you can choose, depending on your age, what your goals are, how long you've been working there, how much money you have invested, to kind of determine how you would like to allocate each percent of your portfolio to any one of these 5 options that are provided within your TSP.
And then with that 457, this one allows you to defer on taxes of those contributed wages up to $38,000, $50,000 if you're over the age of 50, and then that's $19,000 and $25,000 per those plans. The final one for that tax deferred investment account would be your traditional IRA. And with this individual retirement account, contributions you make in a year are deductible when you're under the age of 70 and a half. Again, that weird number, but of course everybody likes a tax break. Could be a good option if you plan or know you're going to be in the same tax bracket when you reach that age for withdrawal, because remember, when you withdraw from these accounts, you are taxed based off the income bracket you are in at that time.
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily that you'll be in the same tax bracket. Instead, it would be, say, you're not eligible for the one that I'm going to talk about, which is the Roth IRA. The traditional IRA might be for you if you have income that succeeds $140,000 or whatever their limit is, and as you grow and you're in those higher tax brackets, you want to not pay that tax now, instead pay it when you retire, under the assumption that it may be that you retire a little bit earlier, or you have a lesser job in which you're not as high of an income tax bracket, and so with that you may be paying less taxes when it's all said and done. It comes with a couple of contingencies though, so for the specifics on it, you would have to look to see if a traditional IRA is for you. Again, it's definitely going to be for people who are in those higher tax brackets. So if you don't make at least $140,000, I mean, it's probably not the move for you.
And then with that traditional, just for the knowledge, you are able to contribute $6,000 if you're below the age of 50. Once you are past that age, they bump that up to $7,000 for a catch-up contribution.
Yeah, and so the next one is the Roth IRA, as I had mentioned just a little bit ago. It's the same amount of contribution as the traditional, so if you are under the age of, is it 50?
Yes.
Yeah, it's 50. Okay, so it's $6,000 for under the age of 50, then $7,000 if you're older than that. It's 59 and a half, the earliest you can withdraw without having a 10% penalty and paying taxes. You have to remember that you have the 5-year rule, so you should also know that you have to be invested in these IRAs for at least 5 years before you can withdraw your funds. Otherwise, you are most definitely going to be taxed and get charged that 10% fee. If you're past that 5 years and you withdraw a little bit early, you're probably still going to do that, though there are a couple of sneaky ways to do that. You'd have to look in those specifically because they can be a little bit complex. However, the difference between the traditional and the Roth IRA is that you contribute to the Roth IRA post-tax. So say you work a job and the government pretty much requires that you pretty much do work a job and that you get your income from a consistent source, such as like cash, so you can put checks in there and whatnot. But you can't put funds such as like rental income. So if you own a house, you rent it out, you can't put that income in. If you have stock and you get paid dividends, you can't put your dividend income in there. There's all kinds of things that you can't put into your Roth IRA that may be eligible for other types of investment accounts that you would have. Furthermore, one of the things is that you don't have to pay taxes on it because, again, you already pay taxes on it from your job. So one of the benefits of this particular account is that you can build up wealth without having to pay the taxes come retirement. This can save hundreds of thousands of dollars. And again, you can really only contribute legally if you make, I know there's the single and then you have the married and filing jointly. It's like 140,000, 120,000, somewhere in the range of that, and then it goes up if you're married and filing jointly and whatnot. So you'd have to look at the specifics for yourself in that regard. And if you do believe you happen to withdraw, it comes with a pretty cool benefit that you were able to withdraw $10,000 if you are using that money to purchase your first home. And you only get that once per lifetime because you can only buy your first home one time in your lifetime. So, yeah. And you can also do it, you can withdraw funds fee and tax-free early if you have a medical bill per se and you haven't been reimbursed on that, but you need to pay for those medical bills now, you can withdraw from those without having to pay those hefty fees and taxes. The last one is the 529 plan, which is, I believe it's the 529 plan. The numbers, man.
Oh, shit.
It is the 529 plan. Okay, so there are two types of 529s, and this is going to be for, it's a tax advantaged account for individuals looking to pay for college at a saves rate. You know what I'm saying? So, to begin, there are two kinds. You have the savings 529 plan, and then you have the prepaid 529 plan. And I'll start by talking about the savings 529 plan. So, this is incredibly similar to a Roth IRA, except you don't have to withdraw 59.5. You withdraw when your beneficiaries, say you have a child, and you want to invest in this account when they turn 18, they become of college age. You can withdraw those funds and then use them to pay for tuition and various other expenses that are associated with education. Though, with that being said, there are certain types of expenses that can't be used in the 529, and that would include, say you want to buy a new car to go to college, that's not going to be in there. If you want to, or at least you can't use it without the penalties and stuff, I should say. You can use it, it's just you're going to be penalized for that. The other thing is room and board. Room and board is a big one. So you can't actually use your 529 plan to pay for room and board. I kind of think that's dumb myself, because that's a huge part of college, at least in your first year or two. And some scholarships even require that you stay in the dorms, like mine did. And it should definitely be a benefit, but beware, it is not. You will be paying fees and fines, or not fines, fees and taxes on that money that you withdraw in order to pay for dorms. The other plan is that the prepaid savings plan. So a few states offer this plan. Private universities, state universities also offer this plan, and what it allows you to do is put money into this account, buying at what they call units or hours at a prepaid rate of current in order to then use that in the future. So you're pretty much paying for college now at a fixed rate, at the rate that it is of current, and then say 18 years down the road your child wants to, say, go to Michigan, I think that's one of the states, or Florida, and they can use their money to go to those particular specified schools. There are a lot of contingencies within the prepaid savings plan. It's complex. I was looking into it, and it mostly is not for everybody. It's for very specific individuals. Like I said, say you're just a huge Michigan person or a huge Florida person or whatever particular schools offer that, and you just want to pass down the alumni for legacy for generations, that could be an option for you. But to each their own. I would look into both prepaid and the savings plan going forward. That concludes the pre- and post-tax investment accounts that are offered, and there are other offers out there in the world. We just chose to cover these ones. There might be another time where we cover another video and we include those other plans, and another video where we include the updates, because stuff like the traditional IRA, the Roth IRA, even the 529 plan, like every few years they roll out new regulations, they roll out new rules regarding it, or new opportunities with those. So like, for example, 529 plans before like late 2010s, you were only able to do it for college, but now it has been recently offered where you can use it for K through 12 private schools. And so when there's changes that come in regards to these accounts, we'll definitely give an update on it, include some other accounts. And without further ado, guys, this is Millennial Markets. I'm Jacob, this is Jared, and I hope you have a green day.